All right, welcome back, family. I always like to tell you, you're tuned in to IMHO in case you didn't know already. We got Max.
Charles.
Razor.
Hey, wrong. Hey, wake Razor up.
Hey, look, y'all got to decide whether y'all going to say my name or I'm going to say my name.
I know.
You was sleeping. That's why you ain't saying. You was sleeping.
That's why I was slow, because I was wondering whether or not y'all was just going to jump in line or waiting for me to say it. But yeah, so you're tuned into In My Humble Opinion. You got Max, Razor, Sir Charles, and Aaron. And we are joined by our dear friends over at the Women's Initiative, Amanda Corman and Shelley Wood. And welcome, ladies. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yes, it's always good to talk to you. You guys are doing a great work in the community, and we just want to catch up about that, because we know with everything that's going on with the coronavirus, people are stressed, they're worried, in a lot of cases may not know what to do, whether or not, they're going to make it through it. So, we just want to catch up with you and find out if you're getting a big response from the community, and then what's the guidance that you're giving them.
Yeah, well,
sure.
Shelley.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Yeah, sure. So Shelley is a counselor, and so I want her to speak to really all the guidance. But I just wanted to kind of kick off by saying that the Women's Initiative, we're a primary provider of mental health care in the community. Mm-hmm. We've moved all of our individual counseling services to telehealth, which basically means we're totally available over the phone and over video to our clients and to folks who may feel like they want to get involved with our services right now, whether it's the stress of what's going on now or whatever else challenges in your life that you'd like some extra support. So just wanting to let people know that the Women's Initiative, while our offices aren't open during the coronavirus outbreak, really for the safety of everyone, are still open. We are still available, and you can still get connected with our counselors. So we've got call-in clinics every day, Monday through Friday, where folks can get connected. So just wanting to let people know that's how we're responding, and that we're, even though we're not in our offices.
Right. Thank you for that.
It's good.
Yeah, and I'll just add to answer your question. I think, the first week it was eerily quiet. I think maybe people were just kind of feeling the shock of what was going on, or just trying to settle in, but it's definitely picked up since. And so we're just trying to make sure that we are there for everybody. So it's been picking up.
Okay. Like Shelley, one of the first things that come to my mind is, mental health is something to where I'm glad that it's starting to be addressed more publicly. I'm starting to see that generationally, like, people are becoming more comfortable with being open about it, for whatever reasons. And now is unfortunately it takes tragedies in some instances, but, like now is as good a time as ever for services, like you all. So like, like Max and Amanda were saying, like, what is, some of the ground rules, when it comes to people not knowing really who has, the contagion, not knowing, like, sort of an end goal at this point. I'm just curious, just in general, what some of the advice that you all are giving.
Yeah, so first I'll say, just as things have been going on, we've noticed sort of categories of how people are feeling. Especially, as you said, we don't know who has the virus. It feels like it's invisible. It's everywhere and nowhere. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. There's also loss. I mean, people are losing jobs. They're losing income. Children are losing their experiences in school. So there's loss, there's grief, and also people are feeling isolated. Mm-hmm. And so the first piece of guidance that we generally tell is just to first notice your mood and your behavior changes, because people are being impacted in different ways, right? And that can show up in disrupted sleep patterns. Maybe you're sleeping more than you usually were. Maybe you're not able to sleep. Sometimes you're irritable, or just a lot of sadness, unable to relax. And so being able to just notice first what's coming up for you is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think,
You can go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, and also people feel a lot of fear and stuckness when they think they don't have control. And so noticing what things you do have control over is really important. And so, of course, we stick to the basics of, the hand washing, right? Cleaning the high trafficked areas, all of those staying the 6+ feet away, right? And so maybe even making a plan for your family, because when you have a plan, it feels more predictable, right? Making routines, trying to get your own sense of normalcy in this time, and decreasing how much news you're taking in, right? Some people want to just watch it all the time, and that affects your mood. It affects you emotionally and your mental health. And so maybe even just saying, I'll watch 10, 15 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening, not too close to bedtime. So some of those things, doing things that are fun, right? Finding ways to just meditate or pray or exercise, eating right. All of those things we try to give suggestions and guidance.
Shelley. Hello,
Yes.
Shelley. I got a question for you. What's your recommendation?
Okay.
What's your recommendation in dealing with these kids?
I'm gonna answer.
I'm telling you, like, don't nobody want to talk bad about your children. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? My uncle was Bernie Mac, so I'm gonna tell it how it need to be told. With all these kids having, when they canceled the school year, people got sad. Like, honestly, he was like, oh my God, they can be in my house. How much longer? I mean, let's be honest. Like, kids, although they are your blessing, they are also your curse. Because a lot of people. So what recommendation do you have for the good people that's listening to this show about dealing with these children?
That's a very good question. The first thing I'd say is some self-compassion, because parents are now having to be teachers.
Yeah.
And principals and everything else. And so just know that it's okay for you to be frustrated.
Say the least.
What you're feeling is normal.
It's normal.
Hey, Max, a lot of people that found out the teacher ain't the problem.
Hey, amen.
But to that end too, a lot of kids were also sad that they're not seeing their friends again.
Yeah.
And they're not in school, and sometimes they don't understand what's going on, and they don't know how to express that frustration and that sadness.
Is that why they eat everything in the refrigerator?
Is that why you eat everything in the refrigerator?
So they eat out of guilt, huh? Okay, I got it.
Yeah, but I think that I think Razor and I have done a good job of like maintaining a sense of stability and keeping kind of our kids' emotions in check as we deal with this. But when they found out they weren't going back to school, I think it really heightened their sensitivity to what are we really dealing with here if it's enough to close schools. Like, I could see the concerns on their face.
Yeah, because a lot of times when they hear school is closed, they're excited, but after a while, you're right, it turns into something else, like, ooh, kind of missing friends now. Like, this is more serious than just playtime now,
Yeah.
So to that end, Shelley, though, like communicating with them, like that's key to be able to, how do we safely communicate what's happening with the children?
Right. And there's a good resource. There are a few articles that have come out, but there's a good resource on pbs.org for parents. And it talks about talking to the children in age-appropriate language and letting them know what's going on, but also letting them know it's okay to feel what they're feeling. And so just, giving them that chance to say, how are you feeling about this? Let's talk about it. And then also maybe even creating a routine for them. Sometimes kids really need a routine.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And so creating that for them, maybe finding ways that they can connect with their friends again through, all the kids now have phones or videos or something. So finding ways that they can connect with their friends. And, sometimes kids need the same things that adults need. Sometimes we just need to go outside, get some sun, play, and,
they need a job.
Some chores would be helpful.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. Like, I've had just dealing with my older boys since this has happened. I could see sometimes when they feeling stressed, like, this house is getting on my nerves. My parents get on my nerves. These kids, they got little brothers, they screaming and running and playing all the time. I can see that. So I totally agree with you there.
Hey, Charles, if Max wasn't here, I'd run a sweatshop. I'd have all the kids in the neighborhood cleaning my yard. Shelly told me to do something to bring all y'all together. I need you to get the leaves. I need you to take off the trash. I need you to fix me a sandwich. Not too much mustard, a little bit of mayonnaise on the side.
Give them some chores to do.
Right. So with that said, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk some more with the Women's Initiative. Amanda and Shelley are lending us great advice. And hopefully you're listening because, we need this, in times like this. So we'll be right back.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
You're tuned into In My Humble Opinion. You got Max, Sir Charles, Razor, and Aaron. And we're joined by our good friends over at the Women's Initiative, Amanda Corman and Shelley Wood. And they're just, discussing mental health and, dealing with, any issues as we deal with the effects of the coronavirus.
For the ladies, first of all, I want to shout out my therapist who actually sent me the form to do telehealth yesterday.
Okay.
Yay.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Shout out to her.
Yes, sir.
What I see people dealing with, and I even had to check myself on this, is, when you're learning about your triggers, that's a therapy talk. That's a therapy talk.
Yeah.
You're learning about your triggers. And the people that trigger you, I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think that these can actually get heightened during this time, dealing with certain things. How do you guys suggest that individuals, male, female, kids, or anything, learn how to deal with these triggers? Like for me, for example, I found myself getting really excited about people not acknowledging accurate information. Like that triggered me. I was like, wait a minute, y'all really believe some of this stuff? So I actually had to turn off the TV and be like, okay, Aaron, you know what? Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But I'm like, if I'm doing that, there's a million people out there doing the same exact thing. Aside from turning off the TV, which is what I had to do, what are some other things that you guys know as mental health professionals or just as individuals that can help us monitor those triggers and keep them in check?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. That's really important. You and your therapist are doing good work.
I don't know about that.
That's really important, is making sure that you're aware of and you can notice what your triggers are, because that's the first step, is being aware of them and then finding ways to manage them. So the answer for you was to turn the TV off, right? And so, for different people, different triggers, right? Finding ways to manage those triggers. Sometimes the people that are triggering you are in the house with you, and right? And so, you got to think of ways, like maybe we need our own space. You start to expand into the house or apartment. Now you're not just located in the living room, like people need to go upstairs and downstairs, right? And having that conversation that, sometimes we need some time away, and that's okay.
That's good. So
she said.
Yeah.
She said.
I think if we felt some of the things that Shelley just now described, since we've all been at home together, but we're pressing through. So listen, I actually did remember my question. That was God intervening there, because with Aaron's question, it reminded me of mine, and they're similar. And that is, sometimes people's mental health is the effect of someone else, right? And so I've taken, just with work alone, I've taken calls where people call fussing, complaining, cussing about one thing. When you take the time to hear what they're saying, they're really just afraid of what's happening. They're really just scared. But in that, right? Well, I think I'm handling this whole situation pretty well and staying calm and, trusting in my faith and things like that. But in that conversation, by listening to them be on high anxiety, it made me, be on high anxiety. And I'm like, okay, am I not worried enough? Oh my God, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? This and that and the other. And I had to, pull myself into check. But I'm sure I'm not the only one out here who, by listening to other people, stress out and be driving themselves crazy, dealing with what's happening. They're putting other people around them in that same mental space too.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll say to that brings up one particular point of guidance that we give people is to get your information from trusted sources. Make it, CDC or the, Virginia Department of Health, making sure you're getting the information from those sources and not just, he said, she said, all this information, because that can really, really heighten, your anxiety.
I have a question.
But you got to be able to shut it out. That's one perspective that you talked about. But we have to be able to control our own emotions and not let someone else drive that.
Right. And I it's this. So I'm not a counselor. I work for I do communications for the Women's Initiative, and so I'm jumping in to sort of say, for me, this has been such a learning process about what mental health is too. This whole experience. And to Max, both what you're saying and Aaron, what you were saying about, facts and trying to understand what's going on and not let other people's noise get to you. And exactly what Shelley said is that good information in limited doses is good for your mental health. Like, that's mental health, Yeah. And that's what, and how in this time where we're all experiencing a lot of really reasonable uncertainty, like that we have to prioritize that. Like, I'm going to get the good information from the place that I know it. I'm not going to read 7 bonus articles and watch 7 bonus videos or listen to 7 friends opine about what they on top of that, because that's going to be negatively affecting me, right? I'm not going to be able to sleep as well because of that. So I'm going to shut that down.
Yeah,
Charles, I got a
great information.
Hey, Charles, let me go real quick because I don't want to miss this one right here. There's one thing that we haven't touched on that I thought we would have talked about already, and that is the financial piece, the mental part that goes in with people not being able to take care of their families or be able to provide for their families. What recommendation do you have for people that have no job to go to right now?
Absolutely. So the one thing, this community has shown its resilience in the past, and Charlottesville has stepped up, and there are so many organizations that have raised money and there's funding available. And so first I would just send people to those resources and, tell people, find out what's out there that can help you in these times. There's supportcville.com and cacfonline.org, and you can find it all at helphappenshere.org/coronavirus. There's so many, organizations that have raised funds to help people with financial problems, food, resources, all kinds of things. And so that's certainly the first thing I would suggest. But also, just knowing, and you all have said this, is knowing that you're not in this alone. A lot of people are going through something that was unheard of. Like, we're all just kind of figuring this thing out together.
Right.
And of course that creates a lot of fear and anxiety when you've lost jobs and lost income. And so just building on those resources, finding out what's out there that can help you, at family, friends, people that you've been able to count on before, and seeing if you can count on them again. But certainly Charlottesville has been so resilient and helping each other.
And ironically, I think that us all being on the same playing field brings some comfort. That might sound crazy, but you having a bank full of money doesn't do any more than me having no money and either one of us not being able to go to the store and buy toilet paper. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Together. Yeah.
So, I'm just saying.
Look, even the dog agreed. Did I just hear a dog bark?
No, one of the it sounds like one of the kids started a lawnmower outside or something.
Yeah.
I was just saying.
Hey, look, I told you, sweatshop, y'all, sweatshop.
You're listening to In My Humble Opinion with Maxilia Robinson and Charles Lewis. Only on 101.3 Jams.
Hey, but the last question I had, and Amanda, before we let you all go, I wanted you to make sure the events and or other resources that you all may have coming up, make sure you plug those, because hopefully things will be back to normal. So you may have some things later this year that you want to share with the people. But sort of on the flip side of that coin of what Razor asked, the folks that are on the front line, Shelley, those who have jobs in industries that are not stopping, that they are required to help, the people through this time, whether it be health providers and things of that sort. Is there anything to share specific to that of people who need to be able to balance their mandatory, work along with taking care of themselves?
Yeah, nurses are already going through it.
Yeah, and they're experiencing, I've heard a lot of them experiencing some similar things, because now they're like, I'm being exposed, right? And they're running out of equipment. And what if I'm bringing that back to my family? And so even for those who are still fortunate enough to work, there's still a lot of fear for them as well. And so I would just say, finding out, some of the things we tell people is, what did you do before COVID-19? And step that up, right? What would you have done before? Did you have friends that you could call on? Did you have family members? Did you have, a supervisor at work that you could talk to and say, listen, here's what I'm going through, and I just need you to hear about that. And so to even do those things now and know that we all support you too, and we thank you for what you're doing, and just them too finding ways that they can take time to step back. I know some of them are working so many hours, but is there a space, is there a time that they can just sit back and breathe?
So Amanda, definitely before we let you all go, any closing words from you as well, as far as the Women's Initiative as a whole moving forward?
Thanks. Yeah, again, just wanting to emphasize that the Women's Initiative's offices are closed, but we are open. We are available. Visit us at thewomen'sinitiative.org to find out about how you can get connected to our services through our call-in clinic. So you've heard us talk, we used to have a walk-in clinic. We'll have one again, but right now it's a call-in clinic where at certain times every day, Monday through Friday, you can call in and have a confidential one-on-one session with one of our counselors to support for whatever it is you're going through, or to find out more about getting connected to our individual counseling. So that's what's going on right now, and we're adapting every day, right? So we can't see the future like anybody else can. We're hoping to bring some more virtual offerings, so even just strategies for, we believe in the mind-body connection is a part of a way people can support their own well-being and health. So follow us on Facebook and Instagram too, because that's where we're sending out ideas every week about taking care of yourself, and we're looking to bring some more offerings virtually while we're operating in this way. And all of you guys are amazing. The show is amazing. It's great to see your faces, Aaron and Charles, and hear all your voices. So thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Anytime. Appreciate you and the great work you're doing. And,
absolutely.
Yeah. Can I add something?
Absolutely. I was going to say thank you for your expertise. And any way you want to close it with, final words for the people, feel free.
Sure. Just in addition to our website, I want to make sure people know that all the emergency services are still going. So Region 10 has a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency services hotline. It's 972-1800. Also in this time, we know that families and people dealing with abuse and domestic violence, they're at a greater risk because they're at home now. So the She Shelter is still open. The number's 434-293-8509. And so just, find a way to take care of yourselves physically, emotionally, and remember that we are resilient.
That's right.
We've shown that before. Yes.
Charles and I had actually talked about this the other day. I had read something that had said that they were looking for domestic violence to rise in the wake of people having to stay home with each other. And there's so many small facets to this whole mental health thing that you don't think about as a whole. Like you might say, okay, she having problems over there with her husband, he having problems with his baby, all these different type things. But when you take, and I hate to demoralize human beings down to animals, but it's no different than when you lock dogs into a cage. Eventually, somebody's path is going to cross in a way that they don't like. And then you have the government telling you can't leave that area. Like, I can't even imagine being in an abusive full-time relationship and not being able to get out of it. And the law telling me this is what I have to do.
Right.
What do you recommend for those ladies? How do they reach out without being able to leave the situation?
Right. And
shoot, Shelly, you want me to answer for you? Because I can take that one.
Max said she got something in the closet.
I can answer it together.
I'm the smartest woman in the world, but I'm just saying.
Well, and even on top of that sometimes the financial uncertainty also makes it even harder for people to leave because they might have lost a job and now they don't have the money to leave. Right. And so a lot of times not just the She Shelter, but there are a lot of domestic violence websites and phone numbers, but you can text sometimes if they're able to text or even to just, go in a closet or another room and make a call. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
If there are friends that they might be able to text really fast to call, and you're weighing then the option of staying or being exposed to a virus, right?
Right. Yeah. No, that's spot on. That's why it's great to have you guys' services, still available. And, the fact of the matter is, law enforcement still can respond. So, people.
Right. 911 is still operating.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Amanda and Shelly, thank you once again. Appreciate you. I'm sure the community, families, women, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, you're no stranger. So stay in touch, Amanda. We appreciate you. Keeping us posted on you all's happening. We always share it. And until we talk to you again, y'all stay safe and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Take
care. Be well, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies, thank you.
So family, stay tuned. We're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with your mayor, the Honorable Nakia J. Walker, going to represent the city and going to, just chat with us a little bit. We always appreciate her time and her input. So stay tuned. We're going to hear from the leader of this great city, Nakia Walker. Next up, IMHO. Hit us online, all social media. Keep that conversation going. Let's be there for each other. IMHO Talk Show.